poured relentlessly, obscuring my vision as I navigated the winding road. It was a stormy night, the kind that felt like nature's fury unleashed upon the world. I desperately needed gas, and my heart sank when I realized there was no other option but to stop at the desolate gas station ahead. I pulled into the dimly lit station, its flickering lights barely piercing through the thick curtain of rain. The place seemed frozen in time, a relic from a forgotten era. As I stepped out of my car, an eerie silence settled over me, broken only by the patter of raindrops on the ground. A shiver ran down my spine as I approached the entrance. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. The flickering fluorescent lights cast unsettling shadows on the grimy walls. The air smelled musty, a combination of dampness and decay. A lone attendant stood behind the counter, their features hidden beneath a worn-out hat and a tattered coat. Their eyes were sunken, lacking any spark of warmth or life. They barely acknowledged my presence, their voice a hollow whisper as they muttered something incomprehensible. Unease gnawed at my insides, but I needed fuel. I stepped outside, feeling the rain drenching me within seconds. The storm had grown fiercer, the wind howling like a mournful beast. The gas pumps stood like skeletal sentinels, their rusted bodies blending into the darkness. As I stood by the pump, an odd sound caught my attention, a soft scraping noise coming from the nearby woods. I turned, my heart pounding in my chest. In the darkness, I could make out shapes lurking between the trees. My mind conjured images of shadowy figures, their eyes gleaming with malevolence. Fear urged me to abandon the task at hand, but I had no choice. I needed to refuel. I hesitantly grabbed the nozzle, praying that nothing would emerge from the woods. The moment the fuel started flowing, a chilling laughter pierced through the storm, sending a jolt of terror down my spine. I whipped around, searching for the source of the sound, but there was nothing, only the rain-soaked darkness and the looming trees. The laughter continued, growing louder and more maniacal. It seemed to echo from all directions, suffocating me with its malevolent presence. My hands trembled, and I fumbled to put the nozzle back in its place. As I turned to leave, a sudden gust of wind slammed the door shut, trapping me inside the gas station. Panic surged through me, and I pounded on the door, screaming for someone to let me out. But the attendant behind the counter stood motionless, their eyes fixated on me, a sinister grin stretching across their face. The laughter echoed, blending with the storm, creating a cacophony of terror. The walls of the gas station seemed to close in, suffocating me with their oppressive presence. I frantically searched for an escape route, my gaze darting around the room. That's when I noticed a narrow hallway leading to the restroom. Desperation fueled my actions as I sprinted towards it, ignoring the flickering lights that seemed to dim with each passing moment. I burst through the restroom door, hoping to find an alternate exit. The room was small and damp, the tiles chipped and discolored. The air was heavy with a metallic tang, mingling with a putrid odor that made my stomach churn. A mirror hung on the wall, reflecting a distorted version of myself. As I stared into its depths, the reflection began to morph. An eerie smile curled the lips, eyes turned hollow and soulless. It was as if the mirror held a twisted version of me, a grotesque doppelganger. Terrified, I tore my gaze away and continued exploring the restroom. That's when I noticed an old ventilation shaft in the corner. It was barely large enough for me to squeeze through, but it offered a glimmer of hope. Without a second thought, I climbed inside, the metal grating scraping against my skin. As I crawled through the darkness, the laughter and the storm faded into the distance. I emerged from the ventilation shaft into the pouring rain, gasping for air and grateful for my escape. I ran to my car, drenched but alive, and peeled away from the gas station, leaving its horrors behind. The memory of that night haunts me still. I have no explanation for what I experienced, but I know one thing. I will never forget the chilling laughter, the sinister figure behind the counter, and the relentless storm that conspired to create a nightmare at that desolate gas station. It was a cold and eerie night as I pulled into the deserted gas station on the outskirts of town. The only sound that pierced the silence was the occasional howl of the wind, making the whole setting feel straight out of a horror movie. I glanced at my fuel gauge, praying that I would make it to the next town without running out of gas. Stepping out of my car, I shivered as the icy wind cut through my clothes. I hurried toward the gas pump, hoping to finish my task quickly and get back on the road. As I approached, I noticed the old gas station attendant, an elderly man with a weathered face and a long white beard, peering out from behind the glass window. His eyes widened with surprise at the sight of a customer at this late hour. "Evenin'," he grumbled, his voice raspy and tired. "Didn't expect anyone to come by tonight. What can I do for you?" "I need to fill up my tank, please," I replied, rubbing my hands together for warmth. The old man nodded, fumbled with the keys, and shuffled his way outside. With each step, his joints creaked, making it seem like he hadn't moved in years. He grabbed the nozzle and began pumping gas, but his eyes remained fixed on me, as if searching for something hidden beneath the surface. As the gas flowed into my car, a feeling of unease washed over me. I looked around and noticed that the gas station was isolated, surrounded by vast fields and darkness. The only source of light came from the dimly lit sign, flickering with an eerie intensity. "What brings you out here so late?" the old man asked, breaking the silence. "Just passing through," I replied, my voice trembling slightly. "Needed to refuel before continuing my journey." The old man grunted, as if not fully convinced by my explanation. His gaze never wavered, studying me intently. A chill ran down my spine, and I could sense that there was more to this gas station than met the eye. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to strike up a conversation. "So, how long have you been running this place?" The old man's face softened, and a distant look filled his eyes. "Oh, I've been here for as long as I can remember," he said. "This gas station has been in my family for generations. My father used to tell me stories about strange occurrences that took place here." My interest piqued. I leaned in closer, urging him to continue. "People say that this place is haunted," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. "They claim to have seen shadows moving in the darkness, strange sounds echoing through the night. Some say it's just a figment of their imagination, but I've seen things myself." As he spoke, a shiver ran down my spine, and I couldn't help but wonder what secrets this place held. The gas pump clicked, indicating that my tank was full. I thanked the old man and handed him the payment. He gave me a solemn nod, his eyes filled with a mixture of warning and curiosity. As I climbed back into my car, I couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that had settled over me. I glanced at the gas station one last time before driving away, knowing deep down that there was more to this place than met the eye. As I continued my journey, I couldn't help but wonder about the stories and legends that surrounded that desolate gas station. Was it truly haunted, or were they just tales fabricated by the imagination? Regardless, one thing was certain: that late-night encounter would forever stay etched in. A flickering neon sign buzzes overhead, casting an eerie glow upon a forgotten gas station. The windows are shattered, and weeds reclaim the cracked concrete outside. I stand before the entrance, the only source of light in the surrounding darkness. With a deep breath, I push open the rusty door and step inside. The air is heavy with silence as I explore the decaying interior. Shelves are barren, covered in layers of dust and cobwebs. A radio plays static in the background, a haunting melody that sends shivers down my spine. I make my way to the counter, where an old cash register sits untouched for years. As I reach out to touch it, a sudden gust of wind howls through the broken windows, making me jump. I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I venture into the dimly lit storage room. Cardboard boxes, forgotten and discarded, are strewn across the floor. In the corner, I notice a trapdoor, barely visible beneath a layer of grime. With trembling hands, I pry open the trapdoor and descend into the darkness below. The stairs creak under my weight as I reach the basement. The air grows colder, and a sense of foreboding engulfs me. I scan the room with my flashlight, revealing rusty tools and shelves filled with dusty cans. But amidst the chaos, something catches my eye. A worn-out journal lies on a table, its pages yellowed with age. I begin to read the journal, the author's words painting a chilling picture of this forgotten place. Tales of strange occurrences, missing persons, and supernatural encounters grip my imagination. The author's final entry speaks of a malevolent force lurking within the gas station, feeding off the souls of those who dare to enter. Unease settles in my chest as I return upstairs, clutching the journal tightly. Shadows dance along the walls, whispering secrets I dare not comprehend. The gas station feels alive, its darkness pulsating with unseen energy. As I reach the front door, I hear a faint whisper, a beckoning voice from within. With a shiver down my spine, I turn to face the dilapidated shelves, now filled with flickering spectral figures. Their eyes, hollow and piercing, stare directly into my soul. I stumble backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The figures move closer, their ghostly presence engulfing the room. Panic takes hold, and I dash towards the exit. I burst out of the gas station, the cold night air providing a brief respite from the suffocating darkness. As I turn to look back, the gas station seems to warp and shift, as if mocking my escape. With a mix of relief and terror, I sprint away, vowing to never return to that accursed place. The haunting memories of that late-night encounter will forever linger in my mind, a reminder of the malevolence that exists in forgotten corners of the world.